There are other examples. I think the best example in some ways is we do not currently face the prospect of a major war between France and Germany. I think that's fair to say. But essentially, the people like Monet and Schumann 50 years ago, who were actually looking to create greater European cooperation, which led up to the European Union, whatever you think about that, it really makes it very unlikely that the French and the Germans will hammer themselves out in a third European civil war. Monet and Schumann, that was their project. Their project was actually immediate steps for long-term things. The massive difference, as David was making very clear, is we don't have 50 years. In fact, the responses to climate change had to be radically greater than anything which is being contemplated by any government. I take Kevin's point very much about this whole business of emissions, but it is some slight good news even that the government has moved from 60% by 2050 to 80%, because that brings into the political dimension the idea that cuts have to be really radical. Okay, 80% by 2050 is hopeless. It's got to come far, far sooner, and we know that. But the point is there are things just starting to change. I suppose the greatest difficulty is always this tendency to look to the relatively shorter term, and in security terms, to look to what you need to do to secure yourselves, rather than look at it globally. And it seems to me that the most important thing in the entire climate change and security arena is something which, has already been mentioned this morning, the linkage between the climate change factor and the other major global problems, most crucially socioeconomic divisions, and this very strong tendency to maintain control and not to look to new ways forward. It seems to me that the next 4 to 5 years, as short a time as that, is absolutely crucial. And a huge amount has to be achieved in that time. Whether we're able to do it, it's really very arguable, and you really do wonder whether it's possible, but you have to hope it is. I love that definition of prophecy, where prophecy is suggesting the possible. And we have to do a hell of a lot of suggesting the possible in many different areas in a very short space of time. And it seems to me, having taken this rather odd path from natural sciences into social sciences, that it's the interdisciplinary work which is so important, which is why I think this kind of forum has so much to offer itself. You have academics from many different disciplines with activists working together, and that seems to me to have a lot of power potentially in it. Thanks so much.